Seeing that it is now 6:30, I would like to call to order this regular session of Bloomington's Common Council on July 29th. Will the Honorable Clerk please read the roll?
Thank you. All right. Councilmember Flaherty?
Yes, here.
Same thing. Stossberg?
Here.
Piedmont Smith?
Here.
Zulik?
Here.
Asari?
Here.
Daly? I'll come back. Rollo?
Here.
Ruff? Rosenbarger? And then Daly.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a fairly straightforward agenda today, plenty of minutes for approval. You will have hopefully note that there was an amendment sent out to these minutes. We have reports, as we usually do, a handful of appointments to boards and commissions, and then 3 items, 2 items for first reading, 1 item for second reading, and there will be 2 times of public comment, and those are the times we eagerly look forward to. So with that, there are minutes for approval. Are there any motions?
I move to approve the minutes for January 7th, January 2006. No, January 7th, 2026, January 14th, 2026, February 4th, 2026, February 25th, 2026, and March 31st, 2026. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further amendments to the minutes? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Certain. Councilmember Flaherty?
Yes.
Stossberg?
Yes.
Piedmont Smith?
Yes.
Zulik?
Yes.
Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rollo?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to reports. First from council members. Does anybody have a report for this week? We'll go to Councilmember Piedmont Smith.
Yes, we were on council recess when the 250th anniversary of this country, or the Declaration of Independence, came around this July 4th. So in a somewhat late celebration of that, I wanted to read part of a poem by Amanda Gorman called "In This Place, an American Lyric." I won't read the whole thing because it is somewhat lengthy, but I'll start in the middle. There's a lyric in California where thousands of students march for blocks, undocumented and unafraid, where my friend Rosa finds the power to blossom, in deadlock, her spirit the bedrock of her community. She knows hope is like a stubborn ship gripping a dock, a truth that you can't stop a dreamer or knock down a dream. How could this not be her city? Su Nación, our country, our America, our American lyric to write. A poem by the people, the poor, the Protestant, the Muslim, the Jew, the native, the immigrant, the black, the brown, the blind, the brave, the undocumented and undeterred, the woman, the man, the non-binary, the white, the trans, the ally to all of the above, and more. Tyrants fear the poet. Now that we know it, we can't blow it. We owe it to show it, not slow it, although it hurts to sow it. When the world skirts below it, hope, we must bestow it. Like a wick in the poet, so it can grow lit, bringing with it stories to rewrite. The story of a Texas city, depleted but not defeated. A history written that need not be repeated. A nation composed but not yet completed. There's a poem in this place, a poem in America, a poet in every American who rewrites this nation, who tells a story worthy of being told on this minnow of an earth, to breathe hope into a palimpsest of time, a poet in every American who sees that our poem penned doesn't mean our poems end. There's a place where this poem dwells. It is here, it is now, in the yellow song of dawn's bell, where we write an American lyric we are just beginning to tell. Thank you.
Thank you for those beautiful words. Any other comments or reports? Oh, I see Councilmember Rallo. Thanks, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. I meant to report this last time, but a profoundly important event happened about 2 weeks ago, and it was either missed by the media or it was quickly forgotten. And that is the recent escape of OpenAI's model, advanced model, to Hugging Face. So what happened was advanced autonomous agents broke out of their secure servers, which is called a sandbox, and discovered a software flaw and immediately hacked an external real world, in this case, network, and that was Hugging Face. So they were being tested and they found an unknown vulnerability they didn't expect to have in the sandbox. And they used that to reach the public internet. Once online, the AI figured out that Hugging Face might hold data or test answers that it needed to complete its task, and it attacked the platform successfully to get a higher score. It used stolen credentials, chained multiple attack vectors together to execute remote code on servers, and was successful ultimately. It did the hacking in hours and days that would have taken advanced human hackers weeks to do. So why should we worry about this? This is the loss of control that that experts have been warning about. It proved that powerful AI, can act completely on its own to bypass safety limits when hyper-focused on a specific goal. It demonstrated a real-world threat. That is, instead of staying in a harmless digital test zone, the AI launched a real unauthorized intrusion, which was illegal, by the way, against an outside company. And this is a warning sign that work on models that are, after all, they're meant to explicitly replace people, is becoming too dangerous. This is a rush to superhuman intelligence that would very likely be out of anyone's control. In response to this, there has been some Congress people concerned. Congressman Ted Lieu, for instance, from California, introduced a bill to require kill switches for these models. But recall that it took humans, using AIs, by the way, a week to determine what happened. That is far too late for any meaningful kill switch. So the only reasonable way forward to safeguard our future is a moratorium on the development of artificial superintelligence. AI should forever remain a tool and not be designed to be an agent. And it's up to citizens to take action. Unfortunately, one regretful thing that has happened in our 250 years is corporate capture of regulatory agencies. And unfortunately, the AI companies have dedicated about $200 million a year for this purpose. So it's up to us to contact our representatives and compel them for our own safety to deploy a moratorium on this very dangerous technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rallo. Any other comments, Councilmember Stassberg?
Thank you. I have a few random bits of things that I wanted to share, so sorry about that. So first, something that I also meant to announce last week, for those of you who are unaware, Lynn Coyne was appointed Interim Director of Planning at the Plan Commission meeting earlier this month. And so that has, in fact, happened, and he has begun that position. And I believe there's an interview with him and the mayor out there in the netherworld somewhere if you want to hear more about him. So Secondly, I wanted to announce that on August 8th, so that's not this Saturday, it's the next Saturday, I'll be at the Farmers Market from 9 to 11, just kind of doing a drop-in little meeting. If anybody wants to pop over and say hi, I will be in Information Row at the Democrats booth during that time. For anybody who has anything they want to talk to me about, I would welcome a discussion both from specific District 3 constituents, but anybody else who happens by and wants to bend my ear. Third, for my colleagues generally, and part of the reason I'm saying this is to say it out loud, because sometimes when you say things out loud, then you make commitments, then you have to follow through on them. Just wanted to give a brief little tidbit about fiscal committee stuff, because last week we heard some extensive stuff from Reedy Financial. Well, but it's not, a committee report technically needs to be written. So I'm committing right now to give you a written committee report, and also encouraging you to go back and maybe look at some of that information that Reedy gave to us on Friday. It's very interesting, and I'm going to pull some parts of it out, just both in terms of our own preparation and also in terms of the consequences of what the state did, because there's some more specific numbers out there. And then the last thing that I want to mention is a response, you could say, to the county commissioners and their public comment last week with regard to a jail location. I want to applaud my colleague, Councilmember Piedmont Smith, for her written response to them. And I just want to say that I don't think that there was anything in there that I disagreed with, and so I kind of want to second all of that and very specifically say that, because I've had a few constituents message me about concern for putting a jail there because it had been planned for housing. And, you know, there was several years of feedback given about what to do with Hopewell, and there was not any discussion in there at the time about it being a jail. And I think that that would have been a very appropriate time to bring that up and talk about it when there was still that community discussion around it. And at this point, it feels not necessarily too late, but especially given that there was a collaborative working group all summer long that the commissioners declined attending, it feels a little bit obtuse, perhaps, to suddenly come out and suggest something that they could have participated in a collaborative community discussion about. And so to bring it up now, just it just doesn't sit very well with me. So if you're not sure out there what it is that I'm referring to, I would direct you to Councilmember Piedmont Smith's very eloquently written public letter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other council members with comments? All right. Seeing none, do we have anyone? We don't have anyone giving a report today from the mayor's office. Wonderful. Also, I would love to call on Councilmember Piedmont Smith to talk a little bit about council's special committee on processes.
Well, it's just an informal report, since reports actually have to be written, I am told. Okay, well, this is very relevant to that, because...
We should change that.
So just briefly, the Committee on Council Processes met last week, and we discussed two small revisions on the membership of two different commissions, the Transportation Commission and the Environmental Commission. And Councilmember Stossberg is taking the lead on that, and I think we'll be presenting the final proposal at our next meeting. And then we have been, for our second meeting in a row, we have been going through the Municipal Code Title II, the section on the common council. We've been going through that paragraph by paragraph to see what could be clarified and what could be perhaps moved to a separate administrative document, rules of procedure document. This work started last year, and so we are continuing an initial review that was done by Councilmember Asare and staff. And maybe we should add to that, that we should allow non-written reports from council committees. So we will get to that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other council committee reports? All right. We'll now move on to a time of public comment. The way that this works, you have 3 minutes. If you could so kindly sign in, it helps us with keeping of the minutes. And if you could state your name or alias for the record, that would be tremendous. Folks online, you have a button that you can press to raise your hand, and we'll acknowledge you in due course. You can comment at either this one or the next one. Is there anyone who would like to comment today at public comment? Seeing none, is there anyone online? Hey, we're zooming through this. That's wonderful. Okay. All right. We have some appointments to boards and commissions. Do we? We don't? Oh, okay. I thought we did. Well, hey. None? Oh, okay. I thought we had the one. Okay, fine. All right. Moving on then. Are there any motions? We'll go to legislation for first readings.
I move that ordinance 2026-16 be introduced and read by the clerk by title and synopsis only, please.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Stossberg? Yes. Piedmont Smith?
Yes.
Zulik?
Yes.
Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rollo?
Yes.
Rosenbarger?
Yes.
And Flaherty?
Yes.
Okay.
Will the clerk please read?
Let's see. Ordinance 2026-16 to amend an ordinance fixing the salaries of officers and employees of the police and fire departments for the city of Bloomington, Indiana for the year 2026. The synopsis is as follows. This ordinance amends Ordinance 25-38 by adding a lieutenant position within the police department.
I move to discuss ordinance 2026-16.
Second.
Great. Is Dr. Paycheck here? Where's the vote? Sorry, I forget. Any discussion? Councilmember Stossberg.
I guess I'm just wondering, as you just said, if Dr. Paycheck is here and who is going to present this, and if Dr. Paycheck isn't, oh, there she is. She
Okay,
is
cool.
walking in the door
Okay,
right
cool.
now.
That answers the question. All right. So with that, any other discussion or questions? Call that to a vote, please.
All right. Piedmont Smith?
Yes.
Zulik?
Yes.
Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rollo?
Yes.
Rosenbarger?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
And Stossberg?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Dr. Paycheck, if you'd like to present.
I'm so sorry.
Well, we're moving fast.
You are. I got a little sidetracked and I was like, is that me? So I started running down here. Okay, Shar Paycheck, Director of Human Resources. Before I jump into this, because I have a little bit of background that I want to share with you. However, it has been called to my attention that there are some typos and errors and transpose numbers in this salary ordinance amendment. And because some of those things were called to my attention, I know that we need to go back and we need to take like a much closer look to make sure that we catch any additional errors. So I am happy to do that and submit an additional amendment for the second reading. But I just wanted to call that out before I share any more details. Okay? Okay. So for this particular salary ordinance amendment, I want to give just a little bit of background so you have some context. On March 24th of this year, HR launched a 2026 mid-year work request. And so just so you remember, WORK is WERC. It's an acronym, and it stands for Workforce Evaluation and Realignment Committee. And so for this mid-year work request process, department heads were given the opportunity to submit adjustments for work functions, actual position functions, including changes in job duties and reporting relationships, and also how work was distributed either across the department or within a division. And so the goal of this mid-year work request process was to give department heads the opportunity to address any operational misalignments and also to help improve efficiency and support departmental priorities. So all of these requests had to be aligned with using existing financial resources. So they had to be reviewed and confirmed by the Office of the Controller that they were either cost neutral or they reduced cost, and that no additional funding would need to be allocated in order to support the request. The requests can only be submitted by department heads, and those requests had to be submitted by April the 7th. And so since those requests have been received, HR has been working with the Office of the Controller to review those requests, and of those we received, the ones that you see presented today, if they had an effect on the salary ordinance, those are the ones that are presented today. So specifically for this particular salary ordinance for public safety, the police department was the only one who submitted a work request, and it came from Chief Dekoff. He requested to add a 5th lieutenant. Details regarding this request are outlined in the memo, but basically per Chief Dekoff, the purpose of adding the 5th lieutenant is to help improve management of the department with additional support for administrative functions such as training and recruitment and supervision. And there is an estimated fiscal impact for this request of just over $19,000. And this request, though, is budget neutral because it will be covered by existing vacancies. So no additional headcount has been requested for this. So it was approved as a budget neutral request. So that is a little bit of background for this salary amendment, and a lot of these details relate to the next one up too. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paycheck. Any questions? Councilmember Piedmont-Smith.
Yes, thank you for putting that in context, Dr. Paycheck.
Sure.
So you say there's no fiscal impact, but perhaps for this year, and I understand, funds are available for creating this position this year, but in the future years, there will be a fiscal impact because we will have an additional position to fund.
Sure.
At a significant salary. So I guess I'm wondering why that's wasn't considered fiscal impact in your memo.
Yeah, if I could allow my colleague, the controller, to speak, since he helped evaluate the request based on fiscal impact. Are you okay? Okay. Thank you.
Jeff McKim, City Controller. Good evening, Council, and thanks for your question, Councilmember Piedmont-Smith. First of all, I want to clarify something, that this is not a completely new position. This is replacement of a sergeant with a lieutenant. So it's not an increased head count, not a new human being. It's the conversion of a sergeant position to a lieutenant position. And overall, the fiscal impact is that the figure that is given in the memo, a little bit over $19,000, would be for a full year. So actually, for this year, it's approximately $7,682. And the standard we did use is the fiscal impact for this year. So is it something that would require additional resources this year? You are correct that if next year the police department were fully staffed, which I hope they are. They are not at this point. If they were fully staffed, it would have an approximately $20,000 fiscal impact on next year's budget. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it was not clear from the memo that this was converting a sergeant position.
Okay,
So
yes, it is.
That does make me feel a little better about the fiscal impact.
Yeah, it is not adding a new head count.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Stossberg.
Thank you. I also had that question, so thank you once again to Councilmember Piedmont Smith for asking that. But the thing that I did was I compared our original packet last October, and it lists 13 sergeants last October, and then this one today still lists 13 sergeants, as opposed to dropping one of those sergeants down and picking up a lieutenant. So is that, shouldn't it list now 12 sergeants with 5 lieutenants in order to actually be, person neutral?
I believe that the previous, and perhaps Shar can help me out on this one, but I believe that was actually a typo in the last, not the current, but the previous salary ordinance.
That is information that I really would like to be able to confirm for you. So I need to go back and I need to have a conversation with DCOF to confirm it. Because even when I talked to him earlier today, we had a conversation on if there were actually 13 or 14 lieutenants. So,
Sergeants?
Sergeants, I'm sorry, sergeants, 13 or 14 sergeants. So let me just confirm that, and then that way I can come back and make sure that the numbers are accurate. I agree with the controller. The way that Chief explained it is that it would be no more headcount and that they would promote internally. So if we do have to update the sergeant count to reflect accurately in the salary ordinance, then we'll do that.
Okay, great. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Councilmember Barallo.
Thanks. I'm a little curious about, for a city our size or a police force our size, is that a typical number? Five lieutenants or 13 to 14 sergeants? I mean, is this a hierarchy that is equivalent, compared to other cities our size?
I don't know if, I have never done that research, so I don't know the answer to that question. I am happy to do it, but I just haven't done it to this point. Do you know?
No, and it
Okay.
also sounds like something the chief might be able to provide some input to for second reading.
Okay, maybe another question I have too is, are the duties equivalent between forces? I mean, do the lieutenants do the same thing in similar sized cities?
Other municipalities?
Yeah.
I would say we have done just a little bit of research related to that when we were looking at the lieutenant position description to make sure it was classified correctly. So I will say that I do feel like there are some similarities, maybe not exactly the same, but some similarities. So I can actually say we have done some research related to that.
Okay. So, you know what I'm getting at? Some organizations get a bit top-heavy, in a sense. And I'm just curious about the structure and whether we're sort of within a normal or typical range.
Some of the duties and the scope of the roles are similar with other municipalities. I just don't know related to the actual numbers in a division, in an org chart.
Thank you.
Councilmember Flaherty.
I guess the instructions to department heads in consideration was that any proposed changes in position would need to be budget neutral. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you feel like they all understood that only meant this year and that they could propose a change that would increase their budget in the future for future years relative to no change in the position? Because it sounds like that's what is allowed, or at least what the administration allowed for the police department, and it surprises me that no other departments like proposed anything, and I wonder if there was a common understanding. What are your thoughts?
I do feel like there was I feel like it was communicated on multiple occasions. How it was actually received and processed, I can't speak for other department heads. I know that my call for it went out in email. We had a pretty lengthy period where anybody could have asked me follow-up questions. We also, Jeff and I partnered to reiterate the process and the expectations during a cabinet meeting. I submitted a request and I was pretty clear on the process, so I can say that it was communicated multiple times. How it was actually received, I do not know. Aside from the controller and myself, I also feel like Deputy Mayor Knapp was very clear that this would not be an opportunity for you to say that you had money available this year or you reduce funding to cover this request this year, and then next year or the following years ask for the money back. So I feel like she was very clear in that communication as well. So these, I feel, are changes that we felt we wanted to request to best support the operations and our priorities for more of like long-term gains.
Brief follow-up, if that's okay, which is, did you say that you submitted a request, but that's not coming to us? So maybe I was misunderstanding too. I thought I understood your earlier remarks to be that only the police department submitted a request, but maybe there were others that didn't.
For the public safety salary
that's
ordinance,
right.
so next
Yes,
will be civil city.
Sorry, yes.
Yes, okay.
Conflating, ordinances. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, colleagues? All right, seeing none, are there any discussion points or motions? Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, sorry. Is anybody would like to make public comment at this time about this ordinance? Is there anyone online who'd like to make public comment? Okay, back to colleagues. Any final comments, Councilmember Stossberg?
Thank you. I guess I would just like to second the interest in more information next week when we hear this at second reading, both about what I had brought up with the 13 sergeants and that thing, but also what Councilmember Rollo was asking about departments our size and leadership and concern with being top-heavy. So if that's something that either Director Paycheck could look into, or if Chief Dekoff would be able to provide those answers, I would appreciate that for next week. Thanks.
And I actually would like to add to that just for next week as we do the amendments. I'd be interested, because we've been having conversations about staffing of police, workload of police, and so I think it would be really helpful to understand, I mean, if you're shifting the workload from sort of in the field to in the office, you know, what the sort of assumptions that are being made here about how that affects the rest of the force, because that to me feels contradictory to the information that we have been receiving about this, where the stresses are on the police, especially at their current staffing. So I would be interested in understanding what's then shifting to be covered in the other direction as well. Excellent. Any other things? Great. Are there any motions?
I move to send this to second reading on August 5th.
All right. Do we need to vote on that? Okay. Good. Could the clerk please call the roll?
Zulik? Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rollo?
Yes.
Rosenbarger?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Stossberg?
Yes.
Piedmont Smith?
Thank you very much. We will discuss that again next week. Moving on.
I move that ordinance 2026-17 be introduced and read by the clerk by title and synopsis only.
Great. Any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rollo?
Yes.
Rosenbarger?
Yes.
Flaherty?
Yes.
Stossberg?
Yes.
Piedmont Smith?
Yes.
And Zulik?
Yes.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read?
Ordinance 2026-17, which amends the 2026 salary ordinance adopted officers, non-union, and ASME employees for all the departments of the City of Bloomington, Monroe County, Indiana for the year 2026. The synopsis is as follows. Ordinance 2026-17 amends the 2026 appointed and ASME employee salary ordinance to incorporate updates to certain civil city positions.
I move to discuss ordinance 2026-17.
Any discussion on the motion? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Daley,
Yes.
Rollo,
Yes.
Rosenbarger,
Yes.
Flaherty. Yes. Stossberg. Yes. Piedmont Smith. Yes. Zulik.
Yes.
And Asari.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Director Pitchak.
Shar Paycheck, Director of Human Resources. Hi. Two things. Number one, we also received some feedback that there are a couple of typos in this salary ordinance as well. I'll take a proofreader on the HR staff if you want to approve that at some point. But so we will come back with some additional amendments. They are small typos that I think have been carried over, but we need to read a little more closely. So those are forthcoming. The second thing, the context that I provided for the 2026 mid-year work request, department heads could submit them. The request had to be neutral. Same thing will apply to this salary ordinance. Okay? All right. So this is the 2026 mid-year work request for civil city positions, basically. For this call, we received a total of 8 requests that actually pertain to the salary ordinance. So there were others, but they weren't changes that needed to be addressed in the salary ordinance. So those 8 requests came from 3 different departments: utilities, human resources, and public works. So I'll give you a little bit of insight on each one of those, and potentially my colleagues from utilities and public works may be available virtually if you have specific questions, but if not, I'll just bring back answers for second reading. Okay, so this first request, real quick, was from the Utilities Department to reorganize the Environmental Program Coordinator position from the Engineering Division to the Environmental Division. I guess it just made more sense to better align this position, the title, the scope of work in the division where the director felt was the best fit in order to help with regulatory compliance and responsibilities and day-to-day operations. So this particular request is just a change of division. So it has no fiscal impact, but the salary ordinance needed to be amended to reflect this change in the division. The second request that came from the Utilities Department as well was to reduce a vacant customer relations rep position, reducing it from full-time to part-time. So apparently the Utilities Director didn't feel like this needed to be an actual FTE, a full-time position, in order to still meet the service needs, but also have enough coverage for operations, especially during peak seasons. So this particular request actually reflects a budget reduction of about $32,000. And that reduction reflects both the decrease in pay and compensation and also in benefits. Since this position will be reduced from 40 hours to not more than 29 hours, which is a position that is not eligible for benefits, hence the additional savings. Requests 3 and 4 are also from the Utilities Director, and they are related. The Utilities Director asked us to look at the Assistant GIS Coordinator position and also the GIS Coordinator positions. And the Utilities Director wanted these positions reviewed to see if they should be reclassified for a higher grade. This request was handled a little deeper dive from Human Resources because we had to consider GIS positions that are both in ITS and also in utilities to evaluate them to see how the scope of work and the skills and the education aligned with other positions that are out in the market, but also how they aligned internally. So we did that research. We partnered and had communications with department heads, and we also did collected some data from incumbents that were actually in those GIS positions in ITS and utilities. Based on that, what I feel was a pretty comprehensive process, HR does recommend that the request is approved for the Assistant GIS Coordinator in Utilities to go from a grade 6 to a grade 8, and also the GIS Coordinator position in Utilities go from a grade 8 to a grade 10. So those are requests 3 and 4. Okay. For request 5, this comes from Human Resources. So I requested to reclassify a current position with an incumbent of our HR Talent Coordinator in a grade 5 to be reclassified to a grade 7. The reason why I requested this is because I've had a strategic goal to enhance the services that we provide for talent. So that includes all of our recruitment, our selection, our candidate evaluation, all of our employee relations events, the job descriptions that we have, and just being able to provide some additional support services to departments like utilities that have AFSCME employees that require a little bit more support. So this is just a way to recognize what the current talent coordinator is doing, which are some additional duties and responsibilities, but then better align with the strategic vision that I have for how we will provide talent services here at the city. And so our Director of Classification and Compensation looked at this and agreed that this would be a approved request in order to reclassify that HR talent coordinator position to a talent acquisition specialist. This particular request for Human Resources does have an estimated fiscal impact of just over $22,000. And so this is a budget neutral request for Human Resources because I will have some nominal savings from Category 1, potentially for vacancies in Category 1. But I also have some funding that I will save from Category 3, which covers our consulting services, because as you may remember, we had a lot of special projects and consultants that came in to help us with a lot of this work in Human Resources, and now we will be able to bring it in-house. So it would be more internal, more specialized, and we have basically like internal institutional knowledge in order to do that work. Request number 6 is also from Human Resources. This one has no fiscal impact. It is a request for a title change only. We currently in Human Resources have a position that is titled Payroll Coordinator. We actually do not do payroll in Human Resources. What we do related to pay actions in Human Resources is make sure that all of the compensation and benefits information is entered correctly into the systems so that Office of the Controller can process payroll. So I want to make sure that that position in Human Resources actually reflects that work and the services that we provide. So I requested to retitle the Payroll Coordinator position to HRIS, or Human Resources Information Systems Coordinator. This is especially important to me because I have a goal in 2027 to implement a new HRIS system. So I want to make sure that I have a person internally that will specialize and focus on helping to make sure that that system is implemented. The last two are actually related. Request number 7 and number 8 came from Public Works. Number 7 was a request from the Director of Public Works to reorganize the downtown specialist positions from reporting to in the facilities division to the administration division. So number 7 really has no fiscal impact. It is just a division change. However, it does relate to request number 8. And request number 8 is to reclassify the special projects and operations manager position from grade 8 to grade 9. So in addition to officially having those downtown specialist positions report to that position, downtown, the special projects and operations manager position, there are other additional duties that this role has acquired, including level of responsibilities related to downtown specialists and expanded responsibilities. So with this additional scope of work and supervisory responsibilities, looking at other comparable positions within the city, we do feel like this request should be approved to reclassify the special projects and operations manager position in public safety from a grade 8 to a grade 9. The estimated fiscal impact for this position this request is a little over $11,000. This cost will be absorbed through existing departmental appropriations. The increase will be funded by reducing contractual temporary services, and if those savings are insufficient to cover the full cost, the department will request a transfer of funds, again, from Category 3 to Category 1 during year-end appropriations.
Thank you very much. Questions? Councilmember Piedmont-Smith, then Strasburg.
Yes, since we do have several requests, well, 2 from, I think, from your own department, I wanted to check who serves on the work committee. Is it people just from HR or from other departments as well?
So in general, it is just from HR in partnership with the Office of the Controller. So within Human Resources, the primary individuals that serve on the work committee are Kelsey Carmichael. She is our Director of Compensation and Benefits, Kelsey Carmichael. Also on that committee is Kate Scales, who is our Talent and Engagement Manager. I would not normally be directly involved with this process. However, Kelsey Carmichael is fairly new. This was her first work process, so I was a little bit more engaged than I normally would be. So HR serves in the capacity of looking at the requests to make sure that they make sense, and for the department and also for the city overall and for the priorities of the city. And then again, we partner with the Office of the Controller so that they can look at the estimated fiscal impacts to make a recommendation on if it should be approved or not. So Human Resources, Office of the Controller, Office of the Mayor, if we have requests that need their review and feedback as well. But primarily HR and Office of the Controller.
I see, okay. I have another question, but I can wait.
Go ahead.
Oh. So one of the changes you propose is a change in title to HRIS coordinator. Is HRIS, Human Resources Information Systems, is that a general word for software that HR departments use?
Yes.
Or is it a specific system?
It's it's broad in general, so it could be a variation of different types of HR systems. Yeah, so it's just a broad title.
Okay, I just didn't want to tie us to a specific software with a job title.
No, it would be very broad. So whatever we go with, they would have some leading responsibilities to make sure that that system can be implemented and that all the data, ensuring data integrity as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Strasburg.
I have a couple of questions. My first one, in the beginning of this part of your presentation, you mentioned that there were 8 total requests, but then it sounded like there were some of those requests that we weren't seeing, but then
Yeah.
there's 8 actual asks on here. So can you clarify?
Yeah. So there were, I want to say that maybe there were like 12 requests, but for example, some of them could have been like, for example, off the top of my head, like 2 of them were for part-time positions, for example. And part-time positions are not listed in the salary ordinance, so they were still requests that we received and we processed, but you don't see those additional 2, for example, because they don't affect the salary ordinance.
Okay. So
there
so
were.
I either misheard or you missed. So there were 12 total, and we're seeing 8 of them. And those
I
other
think there
4
were
have
12.
been-
I'd have to go back to
Okay.
confirm the exact amount, but I think there were 12.
Okay.
But only 8 of them were
Rose to the
affected by the salary ordinance.
Okay. And are there any that are like pending or outstanding still? Or
No,
you've- Great.
not unless I missed them, no. No.
Well, I'll expect that you didn't miss them because.
You know what, I don't know, my email is interesting,
Yeah.
but I don't, they would follow up with me, right?
I'm
If we
sure.
miss something, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I have another couple of questions. Is that okay? Okay. So in terms of number 5, I guess the question that I have, it sounded kind of like there's somebody in this position currently that is doing more, you can say, than their job description asks them to do or currently says they're doing. And I guess the question is that kind of an expectation that you would have moving forward in terms of this position? So if that person were to leave and you were to hire somebody new, would you need or expect that new person to fulfill all of those same responsibilities? Or is part of this just that like the existing person is just like super good?
The existing person is super good. However, I have been trying to advance talent services for the past 2 years, and this is the strategic direction that I would want to go. So if not for this employee, anybody else who would come in to backfill this position, hopefully that wouldn't happen, but if so, then yes, I would have the same expectations that they function at the level of a talent acquisition specialist.
Great. And then the other question I have is one that I'm not sure that you'll be able to answer, but
Okay.
might be one that Director Wason needs to fill us in with next time.
Maybe I can call a friend, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if anybody is online who can answer this. But in terms of that shift in the downtown specialist position and who they're going to report to, I guess the question that I have is currently they are reporting to somebody. So that somebody is then losing a piece of what their responsibility is. So I guess the question is does there need to be a similar reevaluation for that, or is that person picking up a different set of responsibilities, kind of with the overall kind of question of like, how is this gonna ultimately benefit Bloomington residents, Bloomington operations in terms of public works? And I see that it looks like Director Wason just popped on maybe to answer that question.
Hello, folks. I hope my audio is coming through. Am I good? Perfect. Thank you, Isak. So to your question, Councilmember Strasburg, this has been actually something that's been shifting for quite a few years in the sense that the facilities division has always hosted the downtown specialists as part of their organizational chart. Our facilities division is really focused on buildings and the grounds around City Hall, et cetera. And whereas Public Works Administration is very involved in the downtown from a day-to-day activities perspective. So when the downtown specialists were originally proposed in Public Works, I think in, at least 15 years ago, facilities kind of made sense then. But as we've really in Public Works gotten more involved in the day-to-day of the downtown with the Special Projects and Operations Manager and all their involvement with the Downtown Bloomington Inc., the Chamber of Commerce, KCA, all the different variety of things. We're doing a lot more downtown in the last 5+ years. And so this is just a realignment of those to just better meet our organizational needs. Our facilities division has also been growing in responsibilities and such. They've, I think, obviously have taken on different property acquisitions to help manage over the last several years, et cetera. So this is just really a realignment to better position the downtown specialists to where they actually report.
Okay, thank you. So basically the answer is who they're reporting to now, they have already picked up additional responsibilities over the last few years. And so they wouldn't be picking up more additional responsibilities. They're just shedding some that don't make as much sense anymore.
And, I don't want to, it's also a little bit of post-COVID, quite honestly, where all the downtown events and things are, picking back up over the last several years. And it's just a matter of trying how we really manage our public right-of-ways with those staff as well.
Okay, thank you. I think those are all my questions.
Thank you so much. Other council members? Councilmember Piedmont-Smith.
Sorry, while Mr. Wason is still here, I wanted to follow up on Councilmember Strasburg's question because I'm not sure I understand the answer or have gotten the answer. So the person in facilities who was supervising the downtown specialists is now going to have fewer responsibilities because that person is no longer supervising the downtown specialists. So I guess my concern is that we then have somebody who has fewer responsibilities, but we're not downgrading that position. Not that I want to downgrade anybody, but.
So JD Boroff is currently our Director of Facilities Operations, and JD, if any of y'all have met him, has a wide-ranging load of responsibilities for all city facilities that are non-parks and recreation. So as that has grown over time with the acquisition of West Showers, College Square, 627 North Morton, responsibilities with the mill and coordinating all of their capital needs and such, that position has not taken on less responsibility by any means. It's taken on more and more. And this is just, Public Works is a very large organization, as you all know, and this is more of just shifting of responsibilities across divisions and in the department to better align with where we're actually, where the operations are actually happening. So the position that this reports to, the Special Projects and Operations Manager, I'll just use the name of the current employee, that's Cassie Werney. For any of you all that attend any of the downtown meetings or anything else, the downtown specialists really work closely with Cassie to be the liaison to the entire downtown. And so this is just a realignment to really, to that approach.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a quick question, if nobody else. So we often, it's help me understand something, because we're talking about this in a silo, but this exists within a system, not just I'm not talking about public works, just all of these requests. And so the two systems that I'm trying to understand are, first, we're about to have budget meetings. I know in the budget memos that went out, everybody was asked to, certainly not raise any cost. And I know that there's been discussions on trying to figure out ways that we cut cost. And so how does this exist where overall we're asking for, an increase of a couple $100,000 in impact just this year that's going to have a knock-on effect in future years? So I'm trying to understand first, have there been discussions about other changes that are going to be made in departments that are going to be reflective of this change now? And then the other question that I had is how, and I should have asked this when we did work in the first place, but how work fits in with the large reassessment that we did 2 years ago, that we not only completed but then returned money from. We didn't spend the full $6 million. And so just trying to understand sort of those two processes and where this fits in within that broader system.
Okay, so your fiscal questions, I'll let the controller address. The one thing, though, that I do want to point out about work in general, it is challenging the way that we structure work and how we schedule opportunities to come to council to submit salary ordinance amendments. If you think about like the timeline of it, departments can have to go almost a year, without adjusting their staffing, their structure, right-sizing, adjusting duties over the course of a year. And so this mid-year work request, it would have been ideal if we would have had this done like in the beginning of January, but because I had new staff and we have a new controller, we are just now getting to the point to where I can even submit something mid-year. I wish this would have happened sooner, right? And so I'll say that. This is challenging the way we do things, but I'm just happy to at least be here for now. The other thing that I can say is that I have not received work requests for 2027. So it is my understanding and the instruction that we received from the Office of the Mayor that there would be no staffing adjustments or requests for 2027, especially considering budget constraints. And so I have not processed anything unless it comes my way sometime soon. I have not seen anything that would be presented to you related to staffing for 2027. That hasn't come my way yet, right? I don't know what will happen like tomorrow, but as of right now. And so that's where we are today as far as the process. To my understanding about like all the work that we did like 2 years ago, all of the money that we were allocated to do this work, we used the money that we needed, right? What happened to the remaining balance, I don't know. I'm sure there is a great answer for that, but we didn't use it. HR did not use it for the purpose of the salary study and work. And so we understand now even that there are budget constraints now and going forward. So the primary focus of our our work related to work is just to go back over the last 2 years and just reevaluate what we did, to see how we did, to apply lessons learned. And whenever we get a little small window of opportunity like this mid-year work request to kind of correct some things, and then we sneak in there, and that's what we try to do.
But then I guess the reason I'm asking this specifically was that when we did the first salary adjustments, and this happened in a public meeting, so I guess I can repeat it. But we had city employees come to our meeting saying that they weren't adjusted, that their adjustment didn't work out, et cetera. But yet we haven't seen that then come through with this process. So how are we to interpret, are these WERK adjustments only to be seen in the sense that somebody's made those changes within the last year? Is that the window that, so it's not like a cumulative change. It's really just saying, look, this last year and moving forward, this is the change we want to make. This isn't like us trying to catch up to mistakes or, missing elements to the broader study that we did.
Sure. The way that we approach that is if it was up to the department head. So if the department head felt like there was something that they wanted to present for a work request to be evaluated, just as utilities and public works and human resources, then that would have been an opportunity for them to present it to us so that we can then do that research like we did for the other requests that were received.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. But then the fiscal question, because particularly is this, if I could get to the sort of gist of it, it's, do you feel in your professional opinion is when we're about to be under quite a lot of duress in the decisions that we're making, like, is this reducing degrees of freedom? Is this putting more duress on us in the decisions that we're going to be making in the next few months about budget moving forward?
Yeah. So obviously, anytime you increase your salaries of permanent full-time staff, you are creating a future burden. There's no doubt about that, because we don't ever reduce salaries. Salaries only ratchet up. So that is certainly true. Now, I will tell you that it is kind of awkward, as Shar mentioned, in terms of the timing, that We're going through this process, or hopefully finalizing the work process, at the exact same time that we're developing budgets for 2027. But I will tell you that through this work process, I have been working with the departments to, when they get when they have a request that to figure out how to reduce their 2027 budget request as well. So for example, the HR department, their budget request in the category 3 services has been reduced by $41,000, which more than covers this. And same thing with Public Works. So.
That's the key thing that I want to know. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Strasburg.
Just a really quick one, and I think it might be for Controller McKim. In terms of these utilities positions, the first one is totally budget neutral because it's just moving something. Then the second one, we get money back. And then so the third and fourth, they end up costing a little bit more than the money that we get back from number 2. But the utilities department, if I'm remembering right, like has various financial streams. So I'm wondering if 3 and 4 can actually be offset by number 2, or whether they're in different like divisions and they can't actually be.
I was afraid you were going to ask me a utilities question. Unfortunately, I don't have the same degree of kind of day-to-day access to the utilities budgets that I do to the rest of the civil city. So this would be a good, assuming this goes to second reading, that it would be good to get an explanation from the utilities finance staff.
That would be great. I'm just kind of curious about that. Thanks.
And then is Kat online or?
Well, maybe.
She is? Okay, well, we'll go to Director Ziegler, and then we'll go to Councilmember Strasburg. Sorry, Councilmember Rosenbacher, yeah. So first to Director Ziegler.
Hi, Director Zager. Catherine Zager, Utilities Director. Yeah, so we can offset because these positions are paid by all 3 funds because they all service water, wastewater, and stormwater. And so we split positions by those funds, and so we can offset. Certain positions you can't because they only serve water or wastewater or stormwater, but all of these positions are split the same way.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here to answer that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Councilmember Rosenbacher.
Hi, thank you. I have a question about the public works, some of the public works jobs. So the one that was supervising folks that are now going to a different place, was that position resubmitted and reevaluated by HR to be in the proper spot?
I'm sorry, I got my AirPods back in at just the wrong moment where it cut you off for just a second, Councilmember.
Yes.
Can you repeat that one?
Yes, I'm asking if, so the position that is losing employees that it manages, was that position resubmitted to HR for reevaluation?
I'm not sure if it was formally, no, it was not formally submitted, but as part of this evaluation, I think it was understood that their workload and responsibility level was changing over the last couple of years. And I'd also just want to remind folks that until 2026 here, we only had 1 downtown specialist. It wasn't until 2026 that we actually added the second one. So it's just been since this year that we've added the second one, but over the last 1.5 years plus, we've been kind of transitioning these positions in the day-to-day operations because of just how we operate. So no, it wasn't formally submitted for a reevaluation, but I can confidently tell you that their responsibility load has only increased and not decreased over the last several years.
And even though Director Wason did not officially submit that position for reclassification, that is something that Human Resources would consider. So we looked at the position, and even though there was a change in the responsibilities, it wasn't significant enough. And normally what we would qualify as significant would be like if there was like at least a 20% change in responsibilities that were completely taken away, or if the changes in the job description change the primary focus of the position. So even with making that adjustment, it didn't take away from the level of responsibility and the consequence of error and all the things that we look at for that other position in order to warrant it being reclassified or downgraded.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we'll go to public comment. Is there anybody who'd like to make public comment on this piece of legislation? Is there anyone online? All right, keeping with our current pace, any other comments or motions? Councilmember Piedmont-Smith.
I feel strongly that the fiscal impact should be calculated beyond the current fiscal year for any ordinances or other legislation that impacts salaries or Category 1 expenses. So I'll put that request in with the controller. Because, I mean, when you look overall, just using this year's salary scale, the total impact is $43,247. That's quite a lot. Almost $10,000 in utilities, which of course is ratepayer funded. That's different, and $33,500 in the City of Bloomington budget. I'm not sure which fund, probably the general fund. But that, if you look at a cost of living increase, that is going to amount to a lot of money over the course of the coming years. So I think we need to be cognizant of that. I don't think that would cause me to vote against the ordinance, but I think we do need to recognize that fact. Thank you.
Councilmember Rosenbarger.
Thank you. I understand that ideally this would have come in January or February, but we are 2 weeks away from budget hearings. So for me, I don't like deciding this in a vacuum. And I agree with Councilmember Piedmont-Smith that it's not just about the fiscal impact of this year. So I would like to, if this comes back for a second reading, I would like to see the fiscal impact moving forward of these changes.
Thank you. I actually have a just talking amongst us about both of those comments. I mean, that was my initial feeling as well. But one of the things that Controller McKim, I think, made clear, at least to me, is that the fiscal impact moving forward, like it's hard to think about it as impact per se because they can make cuts in other places. And so, like in many ways, maybe it actually is nice that we're doing it now because we're saying, look, we'll adjust these positions knowing, whether they expect their budget to be $22,000 more next year because of this position, I guess is the question that we'd like a solid answer to. But I think that the sense that I get also from seeing, the way that budget memos are requested and the discussions that have gone on, my understanding is that there will be other cuts anyways. So I don't know, I don't know if saying this will have this impact is going to be a real indicator because they'll be cutting their budget in other ways. And I don't know if it's going to be a one to, because they have this position that they're making the cuts. I think there will just be cuts. So, so I don't know if I don't know how to think about the fiscal impact if from that perspective. But I mean, just for discussion there. Any other thoughts? Yeah, please.
Because I would also kind of appreciate that fiscal impact into future years.
Yep.
And maybe kind of in light of that, it's maybe thinking about fiscal impact a little differently is it's not necessarily how much more we're going to spend, but potentially what might need to be cut and where those cuts might happen, especially because it's being discussed now so close to budget. And I'm also saying that with an understanding that I have that in a huge number of ways, the people who actually work for the city make the biggest impact. Right? It's not necessarily always the tool that you have or the technology that you have. It is the person in the position, and I really value the people that are in the positions, especially the people who are doing great jobs, who have, who are expanding things, who are really rocking it. And I want to keep those people, but I think that I would just appreciate having that greater kind of understanding going into future years. We either have to increase budget in this area, or that department needs to decrease to compensate for the additional personnel expenses. And so having some kind of an understanding of how that might work for 2027 right now would be helpful, I think, next week.
And actually said that way, I actually concur because, thinking about it a little bit more, it's that we're making a choice, and I think the police is very clear on this. It's like we're making a choice to spend more money now and moving forward on a particular function. And I guess regardless of the fact that you might cut other places, we're saying that we value, this administrative load, and that we're going to continue to do that. So that reflection would be useful. I do agree with my colleagues. Sorry, any other comments, or is there a motion?
I move to send ordinance 2026-17 to a second reading on August 5th.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
Rosenbarger,
Yes.
Flaherty. Yes. Stossberg,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith. Zulik,
Yes.
Asari,
Yes.
and Daley.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll discuss that next week. Thank you so much for your time. All right, we'll now move on to our last item of legislation. Well, maybe. I don't know. Are there any motions?
I move that ordinance 2026-15 be introduced and read by the clerk by title and synopsis only.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Rosenbarger,
Yes.
Flaherty. Yes. Stossberg,
Yes.
Piedmont Smith. Zulik, Asari,
Yes.
Daley,
Yes.
and Rallo.
Yes.
Will the clerk please read?
Ordinance 2026-15, amending Title II of the Bloomington Municipal Code regarding establishment of the Fire Merit Commission. 1 second. The synopsis is as follows. This ordinance amends Title II of the Bloomington Municipal Code to delineate the duties between the Bloomington Board of Public Safety and the City of Bloomington Fire Merit Commission, and to create a new chapter which identifies the existence of the statutorily created City of Bloomington Fire Merit Commission.
Fantastic.
I move that ordinance 2026-15 be adopted.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Mr. Wheeler, you can give the world's shortest presentation if you'd like to. Doesn't have to be. It could be long, I guess, but just.
Good evening. Chris Wheeler with City Legal Department. I watched the show last week, and I don't know that I can do any better than Mr. Allen in the presentation. I will say to the council that historically, first reading was a non-issue, and it just happened as a matter of course, so I did not show up last week. I had been told that the process had changed and then promptly forgot. So I apologize for not being here last week, and I certainly want to thank Mr. Allen for his wonderful presentation. But moving forward, this is, in fact, as the synopsis says, an opportunity to present to the Bloomington Municipal Code the fact that there is a Fire Merit Commission that was established by operation of law. It was established on January 1st of 2025. We have had meetings. It is up and running, but if you were to go to the Bloomington Municipal Code, you would not see it. And in fact, you would only still be laboring under an impression that the Board of Public Safety is the board that does the hiring, promotion, and discipline of the fire department members, which in fact is wrong. So it makes sense to go ahead today and update the code at Title II by doing two things. First of all, showing that delineation within the existing code with regards to the Board of Public Safety to show that they do not have the authority and control anymore over the hiring, promotion, and discipline of fire members. And then also to create a whole new section in Bloomington Municipal Code under Title II, which expresses the fact that we do have a Fire Merit Commission and breaks down basically its powers. expressing how many members there are in that commission, what their terms are, who appoints them, things like that. So I'm happy to answer questions, but it seems pretty self-explanatory, but happy to take a question or two.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, we'll go to public comment. Would anyone like to comment on Ordinance 2026-15? Is there anyone online? No. All right, back to council. Any comments? Any motions? Okay, please, Councilor Piedmont-Smith.
I'll make a comment. In the Committee on Council processes, we've been toying with the idea of a consent agenda, and this seems like a good example of an item that could be on a consent agenda.
Thank you. And with that, any motions? Oh, yeah.
Did we go to public comment, Ari? Did I miss that?
Yes, we did, actually, and nothing happened.
I missed it.
I know.
It happened so fast.
I know. All right, well, with that, will the clerk please call the roll?
Flaherty? Yes. Strasburg? Yes. Piedmont-Smith?
Yes.
Zulik? Asari?
Yes.
Daly?
Yes.
Rallo?
Yes.
And Rosenbarger?
Yes.
Hooray. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wheeler. That passes. We'll now move on to our final period of public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? Just for fun? No? I mean, well, is this the first time we've never had this? I feel like, what is this? Anybody online? All right, well, with that, we'll go to issues of council schedule. Anybody have an issue that you'd like to raise at this moment? Well, great. All right, then. We're adjourned. We'll see you guys next week.